Tonight, let us float above a sleeping planet. Lie back, let the bed take you, and breathe with the quiet that lives just beyond the window of the world. Imagine a gentle, steady hum beneath you, not harsh or mechanical, but a low, warm sound that sits like a blanket around the room and keeps everything close and safe. This is the sound you carry with you now. Let it be the anchor. Turn your attention to your feet. Feel the familiar weight of the mattress, the slow give of the sheets. If your toes have been tense, let them soften. Uncurl them. Let that small release travel up through your ankles. Notice the ease as the muscles let go. There is no rush. Follow that warm, untroubled feeling as it moves up into your calves. Let the calves uncoil, like a ribbon unfurling in slow, polite movement. Breathe in gently through your nose. Breathe out softly through your mouth. Each out-breath is a quiet settling. Let your knees relax now. Allow them to fall where they will. Feel the thighs sink, heavy and content. If there is any tightness in the hips, let it ebb away with your next out-breath. Imagine the memory of being cradled by a soft surface, the familiar way the body remembers comfort. Let that memory wrap around you like the memory of gravity, a gentle pull that teaches rest. Bring your attention to the belly and chest. Notice the rise, the fall. Count nothing. Measure nothing. Just observe the breath as it moves, like tide along a shore. On the in-breath, gather any small restless thoughts. On the out-breath, let them go as if you were emptying a small tin of pebbles into a river. Feel the ribs widen, then relax. Let the shoulders find their natural line, sinking away from the ears, heavy with the day. Untied now from any stiffness. Allow your arms to rest where they fall. If your hands are clasped, let them open. If a jaw is held tight, ease it. Soften the corners of the mouth. As you settle, picture the room as a ship made of soft light, a cozy cabin tucked into a wider night. There is a gentle circulation of air, a low, consistent hum that you can almost imagine as the breath of the vessel itself. Let that hum fill the spaces between your ears. Let it sit under your thoughts like a lullaby. I am here with you, in this quiet place we call silent orbit. I am not far away. I am beside you in voice and in the imagining. From my window, the planet below turns slowly, wrapped in blue and shadow, a bowl of sleeping lights and folded cloud. We are not moving urgently. The motion is unhurried, like a slow hand smoothing a bedspread. You need do nothing but be present and breathe. If this gentle journey helps you, a small like or a follow helps us continue creating these stories. Inside this little craft, there are soft panels that shine with a muted amber when needed. A strip of pale light like the inside of a loaf oven just before the bread is pushed in. There are cushions that hold, straps that are more habit than necessity, and a window that opens onto a view you have never seen so closely in waking life. Close your eyes on the image if it helps. Keep the window in your mind as a frame for the world below. Outside that window, the curve of the earth comes into view like a rim of pastry beneath a glaze. City lights scatter along the dark, like strings of tiny lanterns laid out over velvet cloth. Some denser than others, knotting into bright little towns, then thinning to quieter stretches where green and black breathe between them. Clouds rest over the land as if someone had folded quilts and left them to warm. From here, a rainstorm is a wide, slow river of silver moving along a seam of the planet. A snowfall is a pale dusting that softens the edges of roofs, until they appear as smooth, rounded shapes, like icing on a cake. There is warmth below, even in the night. Not a heat you can touch from here, but a kind of human warmth. Windows lit, kettle lights in kitchens, small bulbs like stars inside houses where someone is making tea, or moving about very slowly. I like to think of these lights as little hearths, each one a small community, a tiny island of trust. As we drift, you can let the notion settle. There are people down there folding blankets, sharing bread, tending a few plants on a windowsill. Connectedness is implied. Belonging is present even when unseen. The hum that holds us is constant. The air moving, a subtle fan, the sigh of systems idling. And it twines with the distant twinkle from below. A high, delicate chorus like the sound of fairy lights being brushed by wind. Let this combined sound act as a metronome for your breathing. Breathe in for the count of 2 in your own private time. Breathe out with the softening that follows. Slow, gentle, no hurry. If the mind wanders, which it will, name the distraction without judgment. Thought, you might whisper to yourself, and then return to the breath and to the hum. From here, we glide above a coastline. The sea moves with long patience, and its surface reflects the faint scatter of settlements like a dark mirror dotted with sequins. At the shore, a single harbor glows as a small cluster of brighter points. Boats moored close to each other. Houses that lean toward one another like friends at a table. Farther inland, the land pools into softer lights. The edges between town and country are fuzzed at this hour, blurred in the low resolution of night. From up here, everything feels kinder, as if the hard lines of days have been smoothed away. Let your attention drift to that place where a street meets a corner cafe. There is the warm, amber glow of a window, and through that glow you can imagine steam rising, not in precise detail, but in texture. A soft, curling steam that smells not of anything you can reach from here, but of comfort. The shop is small, the kind that keeps a pot of tea simmering and a lighted oven that hums. A coat hangs on a peg by the door. A bell we cannot hear would be faint with distance. The presence of such a place feels like an old, reassuring song. You can imagine the baker inside setting a tray down, pressing fingertips to the warm crust of something fresh, smiling to herself at the quiet of the hour. Seen from our height, that single window is a glowing bead in the dark, a tiny point of human feeling traced across a vast cloth. As we pass, clouds begin to thicken. They do not frighten. They are soft and folded, full of secret shapes. Their edges are like pastry being turned over a filling, thick and rounded, and as they roll they change how light falls across the land. Now and then the cloud canopy parts enough for a thin slice of moonlight or distant street lamp to show through, and then the world below seems to sort itself into familiar shapes again. Let your thoughts mimic this rhythm. A parting, a reveal, another gentle cover. The movement is unending and restful. We find ourselves above a small cluster of homes where someone has left their garden light on. From this height it is a modest gleam, a soft star beside a darker rectangle of lawn. In my mind, I trace the path the gardener might have taken earlier in the day, trowel in hand, pausing to cup a seed in the palm like a secret. There may be a pot of herbs on a windowsill, leaning toward a strip of daytime sun, their leaves folded in sleep until tomorrow. The garden is small but whole, a deliberate collection of care. Looking down, it seems to breathe in the night. Leaves closing slightly, a path cool to bare feet, soil holding the memory of rain. Imagine the faint scent of earth, imagined and safe, and let that imagined scent settle like dust on your hands. Below that garden, a street runs slick with rain. At one corner, a small shop, the kind of place that lights a single lamp and offers shelter, has its window lit, and inside a slice of life unfolds that we only sense. A pair of hands wrapping a parcel, the hush of conversation, a quick exchange of an umbrella. From above, these gestures become larger than life, quiet signals of care. The rhythm of people moving about in small kindnesses becomes a kind of lullaby. The sound of an umbrella closing, an arm around a shoulder, a kettle being set. Allow these images to be softening for you. Let the notion of shared shelter, however tiny, ease a tightness in the chest. There is also a stretch of darker land where snow has fallen earlier, and the rooftops wear white like frosting. In that area, the lights glow through the winter air with a special hush. The snow absorbs sound in a tender way, and from up here, that hush looks like velvet on the landscape. A child somewhere in this district might be learning to make perfect little circles in snow, or catching flakes on the tip of a tongue, hands red and triumphant. From our vantage, it is a moment captured in a single bright thread of action. The delight of small fingers meeting cold, a laugh muffled and bright. The world below continues its slow, uninterrupted beauty. As we travel, notice the small ways the planet announces itself. Rivers, when seen by the lights that trail along their banks, look like stitches sewn across a fabric. Roads are thin lines of thread, sometimes tightly curled where towns knot together, sometimes stretching out like the margin of a page. There are patches of darker, sleeping countryside where you can almost imagine the sound of owls and the quiet rustle of trees. There are places where the light seems to pulse. Perhaps a festival has quietly hung lanterns, or perhaps a household has turned their porch into a constellation with fairy lights. These pulses are not dramatic, only kindly. They are the soft insistence of life continuing, of people tending to one another in ways both grand and small. Sometimes we cross a storm. From this height, a storm is a moving impression, a wash of textures and shades, slow as a great hand painting the earth beneath. Lightning is not the sharp, startling flash it is at ground level. Instead, it is a distant glow, a softening of the clouds at the very moment they gather, a pale seam that travels along the edge of a bank of rain. You might imagine the storm's motion as a slow, sweeping brush, smoothing and remaking the air. Under it, people draw curtains tight, kettle water warms, and the sound of rain becomes a rhythm that synchronizes rooms together. There is a particular comfort in knowing that even tempest has a patient cycle, a beginning and an end that the planet honors. Between these larger scenes, there are countless windows that catch the eye. A flat with a single lamp on, an alley where light pools in a curve like cream falling into coffee. A courtyard where a dog sleeps on a mat and dreams its small, contented dreams. Each window is an invitation to imagine a life. Someone stirring a pot, someone reading, someone leaning their head against a hand and thinking. The temptation may be to fill these rooms with invented stories. You may do so if it soothes you. Keep each story gentle. Perhaps in one, a person bends to tie a child's shoe. In another, a note is tucked into a book. These small vignettes are not meant to be solved, only to offer the warmth of community seen at a distance. Let the recurring phrase settle with you now. Soft light, steady hum. soft, light, steady hum. Use it to bring your breath into step with the world. When you breathe in, picture light coming in, warming the center of your chest. When you breathe out, imagine the hum smoothing the edges of your thoughts. Repeat it silently as you wish. Soft light. Steady hum. Let the words become a rhythm in themselves, nothing demanding. Merely companionable. There is a harbor that slips along the coastline like a quiet sentence. Boats tethered and sleeping side by side. The lights on the masts make a gentle constellation, and a single figure might be moving along a deck, hands in pockets, watching the hush of water against hull. It is an image of solitude hung with care rather than loneliness. From our view, the sea is more than water. It is an enormous, dark companion, keeping its own slow score, and the boats are small pieces of grammar in that sentence. Let that calm grammar wrap around any scattered thoughts you carry. Let the line of the horizon remind you of the breath that holds you. We pass over a town that resists the darkness with a stubborn band of light along what might be a market street. Even late, a few windows stay open, a lamp left on above a table where someone is still awake, folding laundry or tracing a recipe from a dog-eared book. The smell of something baking rises in your imagination, warm and savory, like a memory refracted through distance. Think of a pie cooling on a sill, steam lifting and carrying with it the quiet approval of a day completed. You do not need to do anything with this image except let it be present. Let its domestic simplicity touch you. Between towns, long stretches of blackness are not empty but restful, a reserve of quiet that gives the lights their meaning. There are nights where the planet's features are revealed in brushed tones, where the moonlight lingers on ridge lines and then slides away. In those moments, you may feel the comforting largeness of the world, an expanse that can carry every small worry without breaking. Let yourself be folded into that largeness. Allow your shoulders to sink a little deeper into the bed as you imagine being cradled by a gentle planetary curve. We have been drifting in this way for some time, past coasts, over gardens, above bakeries lit like small altars of warmth, across rain-slicked street and snow-softened roofs. Each scene is a soft exchange between light and dark, people and place, care and rest. As we move, repeat the brief instruction to yourself. Breathe in warmth. Breathe out tension. Breathe in warmth. Breathe out tension. There is no rush to reach anything. The motion itself is the purpose. Let the cadence of the hum and the scatter of lights below be all the company you need. Now, as we glide forward, there is a softening on the far horizon. Not yet the sun, but a brightening. A suggestion of day moving toward the world. It is like the moment when a loaf begins to color in the oven, the blend of heat and patience revealing the promise of morning. The approach of that light changes the tone of the landscape below. Shadows thin, depths become gentler, colors warm. A farmyard that looked stern in night now looks as if it has been smoothed by a hand. Towns take on a new, delicate definition, their edges warmed as though someone has taken a soft brush and added a new wash of color. We are moving toward that wash. It comes slowly, inch by quiet inch, and with it a certain permission to let go a little further. As the edge of light nears, lengthen your out-breath. Let each exhale become longer than the in-breath. If tension gathers at any point, in your neck, your jaw, the small area between your eyebrows, offer it to the light as a relinquished object. Give it over. There is nothing it must do now. Beneath us, in one small town that the coming brightness will soon touch, there is a group of people standing beneath a single street lamp, sharing a shelter while rain softens to a mist. They exchange a joke, perhaps, a low murmur of laughter like the clinking of cups. It is an image of simple fellowship, a little constellation of mutual care. Seeing that from our height, it feels less like drama and more like a blessing. A tiny proof that warmth can be communal even when rooms are small. Let the thought of such small gatherings carry you to a gentler place. Ahead, the clouds thin and give a partial view of a river that threads through a valley. The water gleams with a line of city lights that follows its curve, and along its banks, houses breathe out little puffs of smoke that vanish into the early air. The entire scene is composed of small emissions. A light switched on, a curtain closed, a kettle set upon a hob. These actions are ordinary and therefore sacred. They create the architecture of comfort. Let the ordinariness of these human moments reassure the part of you that fears the night. There is repetition in the world that continues no matter how scattered our attention becomes. We have been traveling for a while now, caught between the thin line of night and the gentle insinuation of dawn. The hum around us continues its low, loving insistence. Soft light, steady hum. Carry the words as you rest your eyes. Feel the bed beneath you, the air at your skin, the way your breath moves like a tide. Allow a softness to spread under your shoulders, across your chest, down through your limbs, until even the smallest muscles feel like they are breathing in their own time. There is a small farmhouse below where a single lamp burns at the kitchen table, where an old book lies open and a hand rests upon it as if marking nothing at all. From our vantage, it feels holy in a quiet, domestic way. There is grit and grace in that single lamp, and in the thought of it, permission for you to rest from striving. Rest is not failure. It is a necessary pause. Let the idea of permission seep in. You are allowed to stop, to breathe, to be held by the sound of the hum. As the horizon brightens a little more, we approach an impression of an urban quay where the lights cluster and the air holds a different kind of warmth. Here, the human activity is layered. Small cafes preparing for morning, a vendor sweeping the front of a stall, someone setting out a pot of flowers. The details are soft from up here, but the sense of preparation is clear. Think of the ritual of readiness, chairs being straightened, a kettle being checked, and imagine it as a gentle promise of continuity. The world readies itself not in fanfare, but in modest acts, and that steadiness can be trusted. We will linger on the edge of the coming light for a while longer. Stay with the hum and the lights, the garden glow, and the snowy roofs and the bakery's amber window. Breathe in warmth. Breathe out any lingering restlessness. Let the repeated images fold into one another. Pastry-shaped clouds, fairy-like city lights, the hush of snow, the bright bead of a harbor lamp. These motifs are your soft companions. Soft light, steady hum. There is a feeling now, like the near whisper of a pause before something tender occurs. The light on the horizon deepens, spreading a little more color into the clouds. Below, a solitary dog turns in its sleep and settles again. In a nearby flat, a woman turns the page of a book and keeps the lamp low, a small act of self-care that is both mundane and profound. The world continues its patient rotation, indifferent to urgency, yet full of minute kindnesses. Allow that patient rotation to be a balm. As we move forward, imagine the possibility of a final, deep letting go. Let your breath lengthen in slow agreement with the hum. If thoughts arise that are restless or sharp, picture them as small pebbles on a path and let them pass beneath the weight of your gaze. You do not need to pick them up. Trust the motion. Trust the sound. Trust that below there is warmth and continuity. We are approaching a band of cloud that sits like cream edging a pie. It glows a faint, pearly color from the far light beyond. I will stay beside you as this band draws near, and I will watch with you the way it softens the world below. There is no need to hold anything tight in your body. Release the jaw. Let the tongue rest against the roof of the mouth. Let the shoulders unfurl as if a hand were gently smoothing a blanket across them. The cloud brushes past us now. Its texture is close and comforting, like a duvet pulled up to the chin. It mutes sound, and for a breath there is an almost complete hush, the kind of hush that asks only that you be still. In that hush, listen to the hum as it becomes more pronounced. A warm chord that supports you. Soft light, steady hum. Let those words be the rhythm that guides your closing thoughts. Keep them close as you soften. There is more to see as the light continues to approach. Gentle scenes waiting to reveal themselves. Little human stories tucked under roofs and tree canopies. For now, rest with the images you have gathered. The bakery's window, warm and small, the garden's patient order, the snowy, muffled street, the harbor's quiet constellation. Each image is a bead strung along the same thread of care. Hold them in your mind like small treasures, and allow the weight of them to be restful rather than demanding. We will pass over more places before the day fully comes. More towns will appear like small offerings. More scenes will unfold in the slow, untroubled way of the planet's turning. For this moment, allow the hum to carry you and the light to ease into the world. Rest is arriving. The motion of the craft is steady. You are safe within it. Keep breathing, softly, without urgency. The narrative of the night continues below, and you are wrapped into it by the gentle, unwavering presence of the hum. We glide on, and ahead, the first true warmth of the sun begins to whisper through the thinnest part of the cloud bank. It is not yet full day, simply the promise of it. A faint, warm color like diluted cream painted along the edge of the curvature. You might feel a desire to watch the color spread, and to follow the way shadows retreat. Let that desire be a gentle curiosity rather than an insistence. Sense the invitation to let go a little deeper as the light travels toward the planet. There is time and space to surrender here. Soft light, steady hum. Keep repeating the phrase. Let it be both the measure and the music of your breathing. As the color inches forward, the world below breathes in with it. Roofs, streets, gardens, people, all inhale that same delicate warmth. Allow the shared rhythm to stitch you into something larger and quietly kind. Your body is part of that rhythm now. Slowly, without effort, allow the muscles of the face to become slack. Let the lids hang loose. If you find your chest rising, then falling more slowly, accept that as the natural course of rest beginning to unfold. We are near enough now to see the first threads of light reach a town where, before long, someone will open a window and let the morning air in. For now, the scene is tender and hushed, and you can feel how small gestures make a world livable. A kettle lifted, a plate set, a whispered good morning. Let the smallness of these things reassure you. They are no less important because they are small. There are more corners of the planet to pass over, more people whose morning routines will begin as the light reaches them. For the time being, rest inside the envelope of the hum. Keep the soft images about you like pillows. Breathe in warmth. Breathe out any remaining tightness. Allow the mind to drift, ever so slowly, toward the quiet center of the night that the day has not yet disturbed. The horizon is moving, the light is patient, and you are held. We move together, slowly, toward that faint wash of color, toward whatever the next small vignette will be. Stay with the hum. Let the phrase settle. Soft light, steady hum. Soft light, steady hum. There is still more to pass beneath this little window. Stay with that phrase as a companion. Soft light, steady hum, and let it keep time with your breathing. Notice how the breath is already slower, how the body waits without urgency. Allow that gentle waiting to continue. As we glide, the planet presents another handful of small scenes, each one a quiet proof of company. Below, a riverside market is unspooling itself into possibility. From here, it looks like a curved line of soft lanterns. Stalls will soon open, but for now the lights hang like promises. You can sense the simple choreography. A chair being eased into place, a cloth being unfurled, a hand shining a wooden surface so it will look welcoming. There is a particular ordinary beauty in that preparation. Imagine the scent of a pot being lit, wood smoke or perhaps cinnamon in the air. The thought is enough to warm the chest. Breathe in that imagined warmth. Breathe out and let contentment spread. Nothing spectacular must occur. The act of arranging chairs, of putting out a jar of wildflowers, is enough. It tells of continuity, of people thinking ahead in small, steady ways. A little way off, a terrace of flats keeps a single balcony light on. A cluster of friends has gathered, the glow spilling like honey onto the stone. They are not shouting. Their conversation is the soft weave of shared jokes, and a cup poured just once more. From above, the gathering reads as a cluster of bright dots, close together, intimate. When you picture them, think of the ease of a favorite sweater. Let the warm thought sit at the back of your neck. The presence of another person, even imagined from the height of our view, can be a gentle reassurance. If loneliness has been a small companion tonight, allow it to be joined by the image of these quiet people sharing something ordinary. You are not required to act. Observe. Receive. We pass then over a ribbon of industrial light. Warehouses and early morning workers moving like the slow hands of a clock. The motion below is steady, habitual. A lorry pulls slowly from a dark yard. A gate opens, closes. A radio hums in a cab. These small mundane actions stitch the world together. They remind you that most labor is not urgent in the way fear imagines. It is repetition, rhythm, a daily return that keeps things tended. Let that notion soothe the part of you that keeps a tally of unfinished tasks. The tally is not a measure of your worth. It is simply a list that will wait. Breathe in. Breathe out. There is a tiny courtyard where faces lean into early conversation over the edge of a low wall. A child stands with socks still damp from a recent puddle, shoes in hand, pleased at a small trophy. Perhaps it is a paper boat that survived the rain. You can see the flash of triumphant joy as a candle spark might look from here, quick and surprising, and then folded back into ordinary light. Let that quickness rest in you like a small note of tenderness. Such small triumphs are everywhere, and you have been given a map of them, stitched in lights. A stretch of farmland appears as patchwork under a pale wash. There is the slow geometry of fields divided by hedgerows, a patchwork of darker greens and lighter stubble. A farmhouse light marks a kitchen where someone is up earlier than usual, preparing for a day ahead. Perhaps there is porridge being stirred now, or bread being sliced. Simple actions that we might deem small but that are foundational. Allow the steadiness of preparation to enter you as a quiet rhythm. If your mind resists, if it plot and plans, imagine folding those plans away into an ordered drawer. They will remain where you put them. Now, below a high street that resists the night with a string of lanterns, there's a small room where a radio plays a slow tune. Someone leans with an elbow on a kitchen counter, the other hand cupping a warm mug. The mug's steam rises in a softened spiral. The window above shows a smear of cloud passing. This is a scene of private ceremony, an everyday ritual that binds a life together. Think of the tiny annihilation of worry that a warm mug can bring. It is not an end to problems, but it is a small, soft cessation. Allow that cessation to be your permission to exhale. We glide over a seaside promenade now. The lights along the seafront make a thin, patient ribbon. In one corner, a carnival's lights flicker. Not loud, but steady. A promise of small delights that will come later in the day. From our calm height, the rides are motionless, the bright bulbs resting like strange flowers. In a tent, a single lantern is still lit where someone lays out ribbons and paper. Perhaps for a small gathering, perhaps for the setting of a table. This prelude is tender. Let the image of ribbons and paper remind you of uncomplicated pleasures, soft textures, the fold of good linen, the quiet arrangement of things in order. These are small acts of care that the world understands. There is a particular window now that draws my eye, and perhaps yours too. It is a ground-floor room with a lamp low and warm. A tray sits at the center, a plate with biscuits, a small pot of jam, a mug or two. A note, perhaps, folded beside the cup. People will come to this table soon. They are not yet there. For now, the absent company is felt as much as seen. You might imagine the hands that will reach for the biscuits, the gentle passing of a jar. The scene is domestic and quiet, not demanding. It asks only to be received. Think of it as an invitation. You do not need to respond. Simply allow the image to sit like a soft weight on your hands. Between these vignettes, a stretch of motorway lights threads like a thin, patient seam. Trains, when they move into view, flash like a slow metronome, a steady, measured pulse. The motion below is reassuring in its order. When you imagine the train gliding along, consider the regularity of its sound. A slow, repetitive click that could be a lullaby if listened to with a different ear. Let the pattern of the track settle any scattered thought. The world is full of rhythms. Choose to lean into one. We drift further and find ourselves above a small coastal village where the roofs are still wet from a recent tide. A lone lamp marks the headland where someone has come to stand and watch the sea. Their figure is a quiet punctuation on the shoreline. There is a profound comfort in watching, in being present to the movement of a larger thing like the sea. If there is restlessness in you, practice being a watcher for a moment. Observe the feeling. Keep it at a distance like an image in a frame. Do not invite it in. Breathe in. Breathe out. There is, below a snow-softened lane, an echo of play. Footprints form a delicate script across the white. Someone has left a message of circles and lines, temporary and beautiful. A small dog chases its own shadow and collapses into a tumble of happy noise. The sound is muffled by the snow, but joy is visible as a bright thread. Think of the smallness of joy. How brief, how bright, and let that thread pass through you, warming a little part. Small joys, though brief, have a lasting color when kept in the mind. We pass over an area where lanterns have been strung along a garden fence, perhaps to light a small nighttime celebration earlier. From here, the lights seem to pulse as if breathing with the shrubbery. In that garden, people sat close and passed a dish around, sharing bread, counting small cakes, tucking napkins into laps. There was laughter, low and human, and the kind of eye contact that says, without words, I see you. You can imagine the plate now emptying gently, a small heap of crumbs left like a memory of abundance. Allow this memory to sink in. You may hold it like a pebble in your palm, round, warmed by touch, still bright. As the horizon eases toward morning, the colors below begin to change in very small degrees. The darker blues thin to softer indigo. Gray washes into the edges of shadows. That movement is slow, cerulean washed into silver, like rinsing a cup under a gentle tap. Let the change be a metaphor. Small transitions usually happen by degrees. You are allowed time to become lighter. Your tension is permitted to soften in halves and quarters, each exhalation an easing. We have been cataloging these scenes not to solve the world, but to remind you of the texture of human life, how it flickers, how it tends, how it keeps. Each tiny action below is a promise of tomorrow, an act of care. If there is any part of you that worries about being alone in the dark, remind it of the light. There are more windows than you can count. Remember the phrase that has kept your breath company. Soft light, steady hum. Let it stay as we move toward the warmth. The light at the horizon is now more insistent, not harsh, but present as a small, persistent stroke of cream. It edges along the curves of fields, gilds the tops of a low ridge, and slips into a harbor like warm syrup. When it touches a rooftop, it does so without fanfare. A slow, gilded hand smoothing an old quilt. Ask yourself what you might release in time for that touch. Offer up one small worry to the light. Name it quietly. Then breathe it out. Feel the hum supporting the release. Soft light, steady hum. Ahead, a town wakes a fraction earlier than others. Someone opens a window and the air moves in, cool and new, and a curtain gently lifts like a breath taken and released. There is a kettle that will be put on now. The sound of the tab being turned will be mundane, ordinary, and in that ordinariness there is salvation of a kind, a return to routine, to comfort, to the small ceremonies that hold us upright. Think of what your own small ceremony might be tomorrow. A hot mug, a soft cloth, the folding of a blanket. These are not obligations. They are gentle lines we draw to present ourselves to the day more kindly. Now we cross a hazy valley where the early light reveals the shapes of rooftops and the shadowed hollows of hedged gardens. One particular house shows movement, doors opening, a foot placed on the step. A child emerges with a woolly hat, cheeks pink from sleep, and runs for a small bus that waits like a patient friend. From above, the child's haste is sweet, a bright line across the lawn. Remember the childlike energy that insists on adventure even when it is small. If worry has been a recurring visitor, think of a child's readiness to leap. Allow that readiness to loosen your shoulders. As the sun nears, the color deepens into buttery gold. The planet seems to breathe in an audible way, though your ears hear only the hum. The light begins to pool in hollows and then climb. It paints the edges of rivers. It gilds the rails of a bridge. It gives a sudden clarity to a tree-lined lane. At this point, lengthen your out-breath a little more. Let each exhale be a small surrender. Imagine giving over the tightness behind your eyes. Let it dissipate on the breath like mist. There is a long, low band of cloud, a gentle, pearly swell, and through it the first real suggestion of sunrise slips like the tip of a spoon into a jar of cream. It is not a flash. It is a patient, spreading thing. Notice how the colors change as if someone were slowly pouring warm milk into ink. Blue softens into mauve, mauve into rose, and rose into pale gold. The world below brightens, as if someone is tending 1,000 tiny candles simultaneously. Below us, a fisherman on a quay turns to his neighbor with a nod that carries a morning's worth of shared history. They exchange a small hand sign, the sort of communication built of decades. In the kitchen of a nearby cottage, a woman tips flour into a bowl and feels the texture between her fingers. A baker somewhere will hear the ovens inhale as the hearth warms. These are humble gestures. Nonetheless, they carry significance. They remind you that the ordinary is often sacred because it is repeated. Allow that repetition to steady you. As the light brushes across the curvature and the sun's edge becomes a warm coin, your breath can lengthen further. Inhale gently. Exhale long. If it helps, imagine the light entering you as if through a window at the stern of your chest. Let it pass through and gather at the hollow of your sternum as a tender warmth. With every exhale, allow that warmth to spread further into the arms, down into the hands, through the stomach, past the hips, dropping into the legs until even the feet feel mellow. Your body is unwinding, carefully and completely. The moment approaches when the sun lifts fully into sight. It is not a dramatic flare. It is more like the closing of a lid onto a warm pot. The steam has been permitted, a gentle completion. As the first true band of light courses across the landscape, watch how the shadows retreat, how the colors clarify. Houses are no longer just points of light, but revealed spaces where people move in the early hour. A man folding a jacket on a chair, a woman sweeping a doorstep, a child tucking a scarf into a coat. The world is already at work in small, dignified ways. Now, invite an extended exhale. Let the sound of that exhale match the governance of the rising light. Hold nothing tight. Let your jaw loose, fingers relax, shoulders drop. If there is a place in the body that resists, perhaps a knot in the neck or a clench in the stomach, imagine that tightness unfastening like a small stitch being cut. The motion is safe. The world continues to hold you. Soft light, steady hum. Breathe in that phrase. Breathe out and feel the letting go becoming more obvious. There is a low hush that follows the sunrise, a tendency for things to move slower, as if savor is now permitted. People below pause for a moment to drink the first cups, to exchange a word about weather, to fold a paper. These are tiny rituals that indicate a readiness to proceed. They are the world's suggestion that starting can also be gentle. Feel that permission for yourself. If you have ambitions or anxieties, tuck them into a place for later. For now, allow starting to be a soft act. We will float together still as more places reveal their morning faces. A garden that earlier held a single lamp now shines with dew on leaves. The droplets are beads catching the nascent light like scattered gemstones. The glitter is small, patient, and utterly unhurried. Think of the dew as a collection of small mercies gathered on the world overnight. You may hold one such mercy in the mind. A thought of someone who smiled at you. A moment of help offered, a coffee shared. Let the memory sit like a warm coin in the palm. Breathe as though you are giving back the coin in thanks. Below, across pools and streets, life arranges itself into soft patterns. A delivery is received at a corner shop. A dog walks beside a person who moves at the pace of companionship. These small, ongoing things are the scaffolding of community. They suggest that even when we feel untethered, there is a network beneath us made of light and routine. Consider for a moment which small act tomorrow might connect you to someone else. A message, a meal, a brief hello. It need be nothing more than a pebble tossed into a calm pond. The ripple will be enough. As the day's light strengthens, the hum around us steadies into a single, warm chord. There is no need for words to fill this space any longer if you do not wish them. The images have done their work. You have been shown the ordinary compassion of the planet and the patient continuity of people. Now comes a moment of quiet completion. Let your breath thin to the softest possible sound. Allow your thoughts to blur at the edges. If a particular concern insists, name it gently and set it aside. You have permission to rest. You are safe here. You are observed with nothing but tenderness. If tears come, let them be small and cleansing. If sleep comes, accept it with kindness. If you remain awake, know that the planet below keeps its steady, reassuring rhythm regardless. Either way, you are held. There is, in the last of our view, a small harbor lamp that has remained with us through the whole orbit. A steadfast point of light that now gleams with a dignified warmth. It is like the closing note of a song. Let your body find its final place of surrender in the bed. Notice where your limbs naturally fall. Encourage the breath to become as minimal as comfortable. Allow the hum to occupy the spaces between your ribs, to lull and carry you if you wish. I will not say that you must sleep. I will only offer this. Let the hum and the light be companions for whatever comes next. They continue. The planet turns. People go about their gentle rituals. You belong to that vast, patient motion. If you would like more journeys like this, there are others waiting. Rest now. Soft light. Steady hum. Let the words thin. Let the sentences become shorter. Breathe in. Breathe out. You are safe. You are warm. The light spreads. The hum holds. Sleep if you can. If not, remain with the soft space between thoughts. Rest now. Soft light, steady hum. The hum continues. The light holds. Good night.